In the land of opportunities, the United States of America, there are states that produce as much economic value as developed countries like Germany, France, and England on one hand, while on the other hand, there are also poor states. Among these, the poorest state is Mississippi. Mississippi is mostly known because of its name, but most people have no idea what kind of place it actually is. So in this video from Kablosus Dergi, we will try to take a closer look at the poorest state in the United States. Before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you enjoy the video. Mississippi is one of the southeastern states of the United States. The state, which also has a Gulf of Mexico coastline, borders Alabama to the east, Tennessee to the north, and Arkansas and Louisiana to the west. It takes its name from the Mississippi River, which is the longest river in North America. The state's indented western border is also defined by this river, which bears the same name. It is the 32nd largest and the 35th most populous state in America. Its capital is the city of Jackson. The first modern settlement in Mississippi was established by French colonists in 1699. In the mid-1700s, the region came under British control after the 7 Years' War. After the American Revolutionary War, with the Treaty of Paris signed in 1783, the 13 colonies that would form the core of the United States gained their independence from the British. Mississippi was not among these 13 colonies, but with the same treaty, the British gave the region to the Spanish as part of West Florida. Mississippi joined the United States as the 20th state on December 10, 1817. By 1860, it was the state that produced the most cotton in the United States. And because of the labor needed on the cotton plantations, slaves made up 55% of the state's population. When Abraham Lincoln, who promised to abolish slavery in America, won the presidency in 1861, Mississippi, along with 6 other southern states, seceded from the United States and later became one of the sides in the American Civil War. As a result of losing the war against the North, they rejoined the Union on February 23, 1870. Among American states, it ranks at the bottom in areas such as health, education, and development. Accordingly, it tops the poverty measurements and is the poorest state in the United States. The phrase, "Thank God for Mississippi," is a commonly used saying in America for this state, serving both as a joke and a lesson. Because Mississippi ranks last in every statistic, people living in other states are relieved that they don't live in the worst American state and are thankful for it. Mississippi is the place with the lowest average housing prices among all the states in the United States. The average home price in the state is around $142,000. If we take all the homes in the United States into account, the average home price is $291,000. It also has the lowest rent prices. Homes are cheap, but the income level in the state is just as low. It is strongly recommended that people who are planning to move here find a job before coming. It is the 4th most rural state in the United States. 51% of the state's population lives in rural areas. The most populous city, the capital Jackson, has a downtown population of only 163,000. Mississippi is the state with the lowest cost of attending university in the United States. A significant number of the universities are also Christian schools. Although the cost of attending university is low, it is the place with the fewest college graduates per capita among all the states. 21% of the population has a university degree. 21% of Mississippi residents who are in the low-income group, compared to the rest of the United States, live below the poverty line. And this means it's the worst poverty rate in the United States. Even though the people living there are poor, it's still the state with the 15th highest tax rate in America. Obesity is a disease that is spreading more and more all over the world and in the United States. Within the country, the highest proportion of obese people live in Mississippi. About 40% of the people living here are obese. According to research, the people of Mississippi are the least active and do the least amount of exercise among all the states. Moreover, the state's healthcare services are also of poor quality. It is the state with the worst scores in many areas, such as access to doctors, the services provided by hospitals, public health, service costs, and the average emergency room waiting time. When poverty, obesity, and poor healthcare services come together, there is a significant decrease in average life expectancy. Mississippi is the state with the lowest life expectancy in the United States, at 75 years. Mississippi, the poorest state in the United States, is also the state with the highest number of churches per capita in the country. According to studies, people living in the state also attend church more frequently than people living in other states in America. 77% of its population identify as devout Christians. In fact, until about 160 years ago, Mississippi was one of the 5 richest states in America. After the Industrial Revolution, as factories proliferated, cotton became a crucial raw material. The state is still considered the cotton capital of the world since then, and hosts a cotton exchange. First, the American Civil War, then the abolition of slavery, followed by the World Wars and the Great Depression of 1929, and on top of all that, frequent disasters like hurricanes, tornadoes, and floods hit the region, and they were never able to recover. During this time, other raw materials gained prominence as cotton's value started to decrease. The most common misconception about Mississippi known around the world is the belief that slavery was abolished in the state in 1995. For this reason, some people think that the system of slavery continued in the state until 1995. In the United States, for a constitutional amendment to be ratified, the bill must pass through the Senate and the House of Representatives, and then it is submitted to the states for approval. If 3/4 of the states approve this bill, the amendment is added to the federal Constitution and comes into effect. In the United States, the bill that abolished slavery passed through the Senate and the House of Representatives in 1865, and after the state of Georgia approved it on December 6, 1865, the 3/4 majority was reached, and it officially went into effect. However, after this date, other states continued to approve the bill abolishing slavery, even if only symbolically. This had no legal significance. In Mississippi, in 1994, a clerk named Gregory Watson noticed while working on something else that the state had never officially adopted the bill abolishing slavery. The only official record regarding the bill was that in 1865, the state officials of the time had recorded their rejection of the bill. Gregory Watson then wrote a letter to Mississippi's black representatives in the Senate and House of Representatives. When the incident was nationally publicized, state representatives finally passed the bill banning slavery in 1995, 130 years later, making it the last state to do so. After official procedures, the law symbolically went into effect in Mississippi in 2013. The University of Mississippi is home to the Marijuana Research Project, the only federally funded center focused on cultivating marijuana and researching its medical effects. Just this March, the National Institutes of Health allocated a budget of $68.8 million for the center's work. The state of Mississippi hosted the world record for the longest non-stop flight of an airplane. The brothers Fred and L. K., who lived in the state, became interested in aviation after World War I. This interest of theirs led them to become the managers of Meridian Municipal Airport. During the Great Depression that began in the United States in 1929 and later impacted the world, the airport they operated was considered unnecessary under the circumstances and was shut down. The Key brothers thought this decision was not right and decided to make a record-breaking flight to make themselves heard. The plane used by the Key brothers took off from Meridian Municipal Airport on June 4, 1935, and after staying in the air for 27 days, 5 hours, and 34 minutes, landed safely at the same airport on July 1, 1935. Besides its main purpose, this record-breaking flight also led to the invention of in-flight refueling technology, which is still used today. Moreover, this flight boosted public trust in aviation. At that time, the biggest obstacle for the newly emerging civil aviation sector was people's fear of airplanes. After the Key brothers stayed in the air for days with such a small plane, people were convinced that airplanes were durable and reliable. Meridian Municipal Airport was reopened and the facility was named Key Field in honor of the Key brothers. The state of Mississippi, which borders the Gulf of Mexico where the most hurricanes occur in the world, has of course been exposed to these natural disasters throughout its history. The state experiences an average of 27 hurricanes every year. Also, 2 of the 5 deadliest hurricanes in United States history occurred in the state of Mississippi. One of the most famous people born in the state of Mississippi is Elvis Presley, known as the King of Rock and Roll. Elvis Presley, who was born on January 8, 1935 in Tupelo, one of the northern cities of the state, is still one of the important icons of modern culture, even though many years have passed since his death. The state is also the center of rock and roll and blues music. For this reason, it is known as the birthplace of American music. At the entrance of the state, visitors are greeted by a sign that says, "Birthplace of America's Music." The word Mississippi helps people count seconds accurately without any time measuring device. If you count just as 1, 2, 3, you'll naturally count much faster than actual seconds. But if you count as 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, you'll most likely count seconds as accurately as any clock. The origin of Memorial Day, which holds an important place in the national culture of the United States and is celebrated as an official holiday, is the state of Mississippi. Memorial Day is observed annually on the last Monday of May to commemorate all Americans, both civilians and soldiers, who died in past wars. It has been declared a federal holiday. On that day, flags are flown at half-staff, people visit cemeteries, and decorate graves with flags and ornaments. Its origin goes back to this. A year after the American Civil War, which took place between 1861 and 1865 on April 25, 1866 4 women came to the Friendship Cemetery in the city of Columbus, Mississippi. At the cemetery, they decorated the graves of soldiers who died on both sides without distinction and paid their respects. Later, this tradition spread and has continued to this day. The origin of teddy bear, one of the world's most famous toys, is Mississippi. The American president of the time, Theodore Roosevelt, organized a trip to the southern states to end the ongoing border dispute between Louisiana and Mississippi and to mediate. Theodore Roosevelt was a bear hunting enthusiast, and citizens who wanted to make a gesture to the president caught a bear cub and brought it before Roosevelt for him to shoot. The president strongly opposed the incident, which was depicted in a Washington Post cartoon. Inspired by the cartoon, Maurice Mitchum asked his wife Rose to sew a plush bear. Maurice Mitchum, who cut the cartoon out of the newspaper, placed both the cartoon and the toy bear his wife made in the window of his shop. The toy bear attracted so much attention that Maurice Mitchum sent the bear to the White House, asking Theodore Roosevelt to become its namesake. Although Roosevelt was reluctant at first, he eventually named the plush toy teddy bear. From that day on, the toy went into mass production and became one of the symbols of modern times. At the same time, it is also the official state toy of the state of Mississippi. According to the state constitution, you need to be religious to run for governor of Mississippi. According to the law written in the state constitution, only people who believe in a supreme being can serve in the state of Mississippi. This law has been a topic of debate many times across the United States. The United States Supreme Court has not been able to make a decision on whether this issue is unconstitutional according to the federal constitution. The detail that caused the Supreme Court's indecision was the lack of a clear definition of a supreme being.